How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Emerald City Hockey Post Game Live. And wow, I mean that was a great comeback for the Kraken. Um, just you know, starting to build a little bit of something here. Coming back home, still recovering from that road trip, but getting things going. Start off rough, answer it. I already see all the calls in the chat about the timeout, and yeah, they find a way to pull it together, so to speak, right? Dan does have that first period timeout after they go down 0-2, refocuses them, and they're able to come out and play probably their best second period of the year. I mean, obviously, you get 4 goals in a period, it's pretty good, but it did feel like they had it right in a way that they didn't for the first period, and that was really cool to see. We'll get into all of it, but just really nice having a team that plays this well at home, that you know was fortunate enough to be going up against a team that you could have that kind of first period and still be able to bounce back from it and get something going. And good on them for getting something going. Good on the coaching staff for kind of stopping the bleeding, regrouping with everybody with that timeout, and then moving forward and picking up 2 points as the Kraken, like I said earlier, they're trying to string something together here, continue it Thursday against the Blackhawks team that's, not great either. So we'll see what they can do. Going over and looking at the super chats here. First one from Coop. 5-0 Kraken after Dan's timeout. Our coaches are unreal. Yes, this is what the timeout's for. I saw via Ren's comment about like see hacksaw. That's when you use a timeout. This is something that I love about Coach Dan, right? He goes ahead, team is playing bad, right? Like they're coming out of the gate, they're not playing well. They're really struggling, not a lot of focus. They can't make a pass. Defensive breakdown after defensive breakdown. They can't get through the neutral zone. You allow some great chances to the other team's depth guys, right? Like this should be the game of all games for your depth to be outscoring their depth. Their depth is coming at you and you can't really deal with it. You're struggling to stop it. Coach Dan sees that, calls for a timeout, halts the momentum for the Blue Jackets. It's a little hard to build it mid-period that way in the first, but hey, gets them to halt the momentum for the Blue Jackets, gets them back to the locker room, let you really regroup during that first intermission, come out, play strong, play hard, just relentless against them from then on out, and you get the end result of this, a 5-2 victory where you were the better team and you were able to look like the better team for more often than not. And I do think that in large part comes from that timeout. Keep in mind that game could have been 3-0 if Jack Johnson doesn't hit the crossbar, right? Like the Kraken were playing arguably the worst hockey that they've played all year. I know there's debate about if that's the worst first period or the Boston game. I'd argue that this was maybe worse just because you were playing a team that was a lot worse than Boston. And they were looking pretty good. I mean, they put up, like 17, 18 shots on you in that first period. Pick up a couple goals. Like I said, there's the Jack Johnson shot with another one. But Coach Dan knew what to do, handled his business on his end. The guys took care of him on the other end, and that's a team. Is what that is. Becca with the next one. Karts and Borgie goals. Huge night for both of them. I mean, Ty Cartier, we talked about last game. The other fourth liners kind of stepping up in light of the Daniel Sprong trade that was announced before the game. This time it's Ty Cartier who gets on the board and picks up the goal. I mean, Turbo with another one in this one too. That trade has definitely sent a message to that group. They are responding really well, and that's great to see. And then, Will Borgen, great finish from Will Borgen. Every so often, just like once or twice a year, he just comes in, lays out a beauty of a goal. Obviously, I always think of that Winter Classic when he scored. He'll just find a way to just like pick a corner and he just goes for it and he nails it. It's really cool to see. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why he doesn't do it more often because he's clearly got the good shot and he's got the good accuracy there. So another pretty one from Will Borgen. Kraken fan with this next one. Thank you for the super chat. What do you think Bilesma said during the timeout? He wasn't too aggressive. I know they showed it on the Kraken Hockey Network if you're watching that stream. I watched the whole thing just from the press bridge. And you could tell that he was talking. He was, maybe being stern, but he was being serious. That's more so what it was. He was talking serious. He was obviously delivering a message about what he was seeing, what he wants them to be playing like, what their issues are, like whatever it is. I think it was just a, you know, settle this down. Let's get back to basics. Let's just start executing on our stuff. That was the big message from the practice yesterday for them, was like defensive kind of awareness, focus on defense, focus on execution in that zone, try to break the puck out, all of that kind of stuff. They were really struggling with it. I'm sure he just kind of reminded them of the stuff that they worked on the previous day. Let what's just happened kind of go. Let's just focus on what we can do. There's a lot of time left. Like, obviously, I have no idea what he actually said, but based on his demeanor talking to the team and the way that the team responded, that's the kind of stuff that I would assume was said to them from him during that timeout. And bottom line is that is what they needed to do. You could get mad at them in that situation, right? I'm sure there are coaches around the league that would get mad at them, but I do like him kind of taking that tact instead, where it's just, hey, reminder, there's time left in this game. We can do this. Let's just focus on our fundamentals. Let's just get a little something going. Let that build. Let that snowball. Let's get going here and do our own thing and play our own style of hockey. And I think that that's what they needed to hear. That's ultimately what they did end up doing, and they were able to obviously walk out of the building with 2 points tonight and a decisive win in front of the home crowd, and that's really special as well. Um, got this one ready to go from Gregory. Lemon lime Gatorade time, baby. What a second period! 3 goals in 5 minutes. Father Canner 200 points with the Kraken. Hashtag you love to see it. Jared McCann, great night from him. What a setup from him and Eberle on that Tolvanen goal. I'm sure we'll get to favorite goals of the night, but that one is going to be my favorite. The way he crashes the net on the power play, it's something we've been talking about. But Jared McCann does a great job of the setup there. Obviously gets the empty netter later, also assisted by Ebbs. Just love what the two of them are doing as they've been playing together so far this season. But yeah, Jared McCann has been playing fantastic. And the 3 goals in 5 minutes, the 4-goal second period. It's been a while since we've seen the Kraken be able to do that. It's great to know that they can still do that. It's great to see them do that against a team like Columbus like this and take things back, build up that momentum, and yeah, just, just play good hockey, especially after that first period. To be able to see them have that resolve, have that resiliency, have that rebound was really, really big. And I appreciate the Gatorade as always, Gregory. I'll down it later. Here's what we'll do. We'll play a drinking game when RJ joins us in a little bit. For every time RJ says something along the lines of, that's what, playing against a team like this lets you do, or playing against a bad team or a team with players like this, it lets you kind of come back from that first period. Because I that was all I heard tonight from him, was just, even when the Kraken were looking rough, he was just like, no, it's fine. It's fine. You can play that way against a team like this. You'll still end up winning. They don't got the guys to they don't have the guys to finish this off and whatever. So I guarantee RJ is going to come on and he's going to talk about stuff like that. And when he does, I will be I'll take a nice long sip of Gatorade. I said in the Discord before the second that in their 4 seconds in the offensive zone, they look dangerous. Glad the team didn't make me look stupid. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the laugh, Light, as always. Yeah, they struggled a little bit in the first period to get anything going. What I did like about this game from them, and I mentioned it with the Tolvanen goal, I think it's the best example of them kind of going to the net. But I liked how down low they played a lot of this game. There was a lot of times where guys were, moving behind the net. They were playing down below the goal line. Lots of times where they were cutting to the middle, but very much towards the crease. Lots of passes to the slot from the corner area or from down low below the goal line. Lots of just looking for guys in the low slot, in the crease, in and around those danger areas, those high danger areas, which we talked about. They kind of were playing that way beginning of the year, went away from it. Certainly on that road trip, they were away from it, slowly starting to get back to it. And tonight they were really trying to make that kind of stuff happen. Lots of passes just to the middle of the ice, those high danger areas. That's what I wanted to see from them. That's the kind of thing that I want to see them really work on and build and get the muscle memory and those reps in, because look, a lot of them did not connect tonight, right? I would be lying if I said that they looked particularly dangerous with a lot of those, but they were doing it. And I know the passes are not clean. There's a lot of times where the timing is off, or there's just not somebody there, or whatever it is. As long as they keep doing it, that timing will get there. Those passes will get cleaner. Guys will be showing up in those spots, and they will start scoring and producing more offensively from it. They just have to keep at it, and all that stuff will come. The chemistry will come. The timing will come. The presence will come. I just think that they gotta stick with it, and I know that the coaching staff wants them to, and I think we'll start seeing more results moving forward as they continue to work at it. Justin with the super chat here. What a weird team. I love them. The comments everywhere after that first period, whether it was on the social media side of things, whether it was up on the press bridge, just hearing everybody talking about the way that team played in the first period. It was, look, it was earned, right? That they played, they did not have their stuff together for that first period, but yeah, the way they respond, the way they can come back, and I think that again, we're kind of back around to what I had talked about many post games ago now, earlier in this season. You just got to be patient with this group. Like, this group knows how to make adjustments. This is a coaching staff that knows how to utilize, well, now we know timeouts, but certainly the intermissions to get going. And it's just one of those where I think they've earned at this point, they've had enough performances like tonight. They've earned that patience from us. If they do come out flat in the first period, which has been a trend for them, they've earned us being a little patient with them to see how they come out in the second, because so far this year they have been able to respond there, and that's been good to see, and it's really refreshing after kind of the way the back half of last year finished for them. Appreciate all the super chats there, everybody. Zoe, so who do we trade or send down now? Look, I know there's going to be comments in here about this, especially now that Ty scored and all that kind of stuff. I'll say two things. One, I think we should just enjoy the fact that we don't need to send somebody down until Vince Dunn returns. That's still a couple weeks away. Let's not borrow trouble too much if we can, and just kind of enjoy the success that the team's having and the idea of them having too many guys that are being able to come into the lineup and perform for them. On the flip side, with Daniel Sprong joining the team later this week, give him a couple days to then get used to everything and work his way potentially into the lineup. I would say, look, if the fourth line is going to continue to play this way, if other guys on the lineup are going to continue to play this way, and just the mere presence of Daniel Sprong there as a scratch is going to give them the motivation that they need to reach a higher level and start producing in a way that they weren't before, you don't ever need to put him in, right? You just keep him there, and then the moment somebody dips, you take that player out, you put in Daniel Sprong for a game, see what he does, and you just kind of go from there. Just because he's going to be around doesn't mean he has to be in the lineup on a nightly basis. And I think so far, just the idea of having him around has really kind of jump started a lot of guys on this team. I say, as long as they're playing with energy, as long as they're producing, as long as they're picking up points, the way a lot of them, I think everybody but three forwards, Shane, Maddie, and Stevenson tonight, picked up points. As long as they're doing that, you don't need to force Sprong into the lineup, right? I mean, like, it's already kind of mission accomplished. So I think that's kind of where I stand with the whole, like, who should be coming out of the lineup now that everybody's starting to produce. Everybody's producing. Nobody needs to come out of the lineup. Just because he's around doesn't mean he has to play, or at least right away. Light with another super chat here. Appreciate it. Also, no points tonight, but I feel like we're seeing what the ideal form of Matty is. He looks dangerous and fast and really fun. Bergeron light S. Well, I'm sure he would take that. One of the players he has always said he models his game after, Patrice Bergeron. Shane Wright as well, actually. Both cited him a lot in their draft years as a guy they modeled their game on. And yes, I do feel like Matty's really starting to round into form this year. I've praised the controlled zone entries. I've talked about the defensive acumen. He's really doing a lot of that stuff. He did look dangerous in the offensive zone tonight. I agree with you there. He is playing at a faster speed, and having guys like Jordan Eberle and Jared McCann around him has certainly helped too, in the sense that I do feel like he's starting to unlock kind of that maybe higher concept offensive zone stuff as far as where he's placing himself. He's working a little bit more to the inside. It looks like he's starting to get it. And I think a lot of that has to do with playing with guys that are going to start sending pucks to those areas, right? That's the place they're naturally going to want to look. That's the place he's looking for them. Then you start internalizing that. So when they have the puck, you start going to those places so that they can find you. I think a lot of that is really kind of coming together here for Matty. Hopefully, production follows soon. But as of right now, Matty is playing, some of, if not the best hockey that we've seen from him in his career so far, in his young career so far, and that's really cool to see from him. And very happy for that. Let's see. Kraken fan now. Imagine if they could just play for 3 periods instead of just 2. I know, but baby steps, pick up the wins. That's what's important right now. Definitely. By NCX, that's how you use a timeout. Yes, they used the timeout perfectly in this one. It ended up being a great one for them. Lindsay, the Kraken, the comeback in Kraken, wiping the first period from my memory. Yay, a win. I like that. It is a tongue twister. I might need to practice that one a little bit. But yes, just, first period, let the coaches handle that. Let the coaches have to look at that tape over and over and break it down for the guys. Doesn't mean we have to. We can just kind of move on and look at all the fun, pretty goals that they scored in the second period instead. First period, this is from B. First period was rough, but Joey kept a minute until they finally woke up and battled back. Heck of a game by the fourth line, once again making decisions hard about who comes out for Sprong. I'm telling you, I don't know that we need to see anybody come out for Sprong if they're going to continue to play this way. And, if you're the team, you take that every day of the week, I feel like. And I see Matty here with the please don't send Ty away, keep him forever. B, Ty Cartier first star makes me very happy. Looked like he was really happy too. I was really happy for him to see him out there eating a fish again, getting that goal. You could tell how much it meant for him. And again, it's not like he hasn't been playing hard. It's not like he hasn't been playing good hockey. It's just been a struggle to put points on the board, which, it's really a lot of guys on this team. So, yeah, happy for him, and we'll certainly see if they can keep it up on Thursday, which is kind of the earliest that we could see Daniel Sprong joining the team. Would not be ready, I would imagine, to hop into a game that fast, but that it would be the earliest day. It sounds like that we could see him just start working into the group as a whole. I love this from Edward. Elvis has left the building. Probably has now. Well, most road trip, I just know from Kraken road trips being there, a lot of time the bus will leave around 10:20 local time. That tends to be a popular time for the away team to kind of hightail it out of there. So maybe Elvis hasn't quite left the building yet. Edward might still be working on stuff, maybe doing some media stuff, but definitely close. Maybe get in a shower before everybody climbs into the bus. Might be a good idea for everybody there. Coop Mustache Tanev is unstoppable. It sure looks like that. That was a great move from him. Cut to the middle, send it back far side. I mean, it's it's one of those kind of keep it simple plays, but boy, does it work well. It's just one of those things. Lindsay, I love the Tolvanen goal. Can they just do that every power play? I would love to see something like that too, every power play. That is the kind of stuff that they've wanted to draw up this season. Would be nice if we're able to see that a little bit more frequently. Wow, RJ's already starting to set up over there. That is fast. I'm sure everybody was just kind of happy and there wasn't too much going on, but yeah, that is fast. Edward, what's your favorite mustache on the team? Ooh, that's a tough one. Like Chandler Stevenson's mustache is pretty fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, especially in person. It's full. It's like just on the edge of being like bushy. I would describe it as. I really think Chandler Stevenson's is good. Ellie Tolvanen's probably got the closest one to being like kind of stylized. If you see it up close, and it's kind of hard on TV just because it's blonde and everything. But in person, I would say it's like the most stylized. It feels like. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against Chandler Stevenson's. That one's just pretty rock solid there. And I see you, Striatic. I'll wait for RJ to hop on. But yeah, my favorite goal is that Tolvanen goal because of just crashing the net. That's exactly the kind of hockey that they need to be playing right now. B, everyone who scored a goal on Elvis tonight has a mustache. that paired with John and JT talking about mustaches multiple times during the broadcast feels like a funny reoccurring theme. Well, it is November, B, so it is Movember, and everybody's got their mustaches going. Mine's something. it's something. El Bell, trying to reassure myself that Karts won't be traded once Dunn's back. Given Ty's AAVs over 100,000 less than Sprong's, it wouldn't make sense to trade him to help the cap, right? Yes, it would not make sense for Ty Cartier to be traded. Even him being waived doesn't really fix the cap situation issue for them. I think bottom line is if Ty Cartier leaves this organization, it's either part of like a larger trade where he has to be a throw-in, or far more realistically, it would be that they do have to waive him, and then he gets claimed on waivers. So I wouldn't worry too much about a trade. Like I said, I don't even know that you have to totally worry about waivers, just because he doesn't clear enough space for them to get out of their hole. So I don't know that there would be a ton of point in waiving him, unless you're waiving him and Mahura together. That would do it once Dunn comes back. So it's a tough one. Let's see. Schultz, contrary to popular belief, nothing was said at first intermission. Dan just walked in with pics of Sprong and his stall nameplate. That would be epic. That would be the most like kind of epic thing a coach could do, to kind of come in there and just send a message to everybody. that would be pretty funny. Mason, I thought Berkey had a really good performance. Not that I should be first pumping a shot, but you can tell he's starting to get his rhythm back. Yeah, I thought Berkey played well tonight. Again, talk about playing with speed. He was kind of all over things in the offensive zone. He really has taken to heart this whole like player movement thing, certainly on the power play, but it feels like he's starting to incorporate it more 5-on-5, and the puck kind of finds it, right? He'll kind of make a pass on one end of the offensive zone, and then the next thing you know, as it's been cycled around, he's the guy picking it up on the half boards on the other end of the ice. And I think that says something about his instincts and kind of what he goes for, and everything there. Let me just do this here real quick. Let me try to help get RJ in here, because I think it looks like there's a little bit of an issue. So apologies real quick while I talk about that. But yeah, Berkey has been looking better here. I mean, he picks up another point here. Kind of, it's not the first point, but it basically feels like the first point since I was talking about how many points he was scoring, and trying to defend him there. I was happy to kind of see that there from him. And Maddie pointing out Berkey had a couple great shots. I was bummed he didn't get a goal on that one shot. Yeah, me too. And I think that as long as he kind of continues playing like this, it'll come at some point. You know what I mean? Like it'll come. Joey saved 2.5 goals above expected. Oh, hello, RJ.
Hi there.
Just popping right in. Okay.
Is that what happened? Yeah, because
yeah.
I didn't get the link this time,
Yeah,
so I had to go in and log in myself.
Yes. Yeah. So I was just talking about Berkey, and Berkey looking pretty good tonight. Just playing fast. Same with Maddie. Just playing fast tonight.
Yeah, and Coach Dan did highlight Berkey's line along with Shane Wright and Tolvanen as one of the better lines in this game, and talked about how they put a lot of the work in, especially on the Cartier goal, right? Berkey was right there, kind of had the body position to get that puck down low to Cartier, and that is a play that Coach Dan talked through and talked about the importance of the work that line did, even though half of them were off the ice at that point, to set up that goal.
Yeah. And Bryce, Joey saved 2.5 goals above expected today, climbing the leaderboard. Joey, I mean, it was a big performance from Joey, keeping them in it, especially in the first period there.
Yeah, I thought Joey was excellent, and that's exactly what Dan said as well. He was asked about Joey's performance in this one, and he talked about how important it was that in the first period, when the team was not playing well, that he was able to keep them in the game, give them a chance to find their footing and find a chance to win, and that's kind of what he's done in the last two games, really. I mean, with the 2-0 lead early for Vegas, it's become clear that if Joey just gets a chance on something, he's going to stop it, which really gives you hope in any situation in a game that if you can just score the goals to retake the lead, he's not going to give up another one.
Yeah. And the super chat here from Light. Also, I want to be surprised that the team has rough first, then very good seconds, and then great thirds. But that's literally how Coachella Valley played last year. I can't imagine why that might be a theme carried over from last year's Coachella Valley squad, RJ.
Well, you know what? If you can wholesale import everything over, it's not the worst thing, right?
Well, and I feel like we talked about if he could do that, that's kind of what we wanted.
We'd take it, right?
Yeah, and that certainly seems to be what he's doing here. I mean, your thoughts on the timeout, RJ? The adjustments made during that first intermission, and just how they came out and bounced back into this game.
Starting with the timeout, I like the timeout. I think I had my head down because it was 2 goals in the span of 22 seconds. So I was posting the goal video. I wasn't really paying attention to the game. But after the second one, I was like, I turned to you. I said, they got scored on again. You're like, yeah. And I said, maybe call timeout here. And at that point, I think they already had done it. So I like the timeout. Although Dan did say or admit, whatever you want to call it, he said, I don't think it worked. He said he didn't think the timeout worked, which I guess you look at the rest of the period, they didn't really stop the bleeding or shore things up. They did on the scoreboard perspective, but not really in their play. They could have been scored on again. Really, where Dan pointed was the intermission and getting everybody on the same page there. And he said the number one thing that they had to recognize and adjust, and I love that Dan will talk about this, just the actual adjustment to make. He said that Columbus's D's, the thing that we knew about them and needed to know about them, was that their D are super aggressive. They're going to pinch. They're going to activate. They're going to have really active defensemen. And we didn't play well against that in the first period. We should have seen it coming. For whatever reason, we didn't play the way we need to, given that that was the case. In the second and third, he said they adjusted perfectly to that. They get a couple of their goals off of it, right? I mean, with bad pinches by the Columbus D or just chipping a puck past them, you're able to generate like the odd man rush for the Tanev goal. You're able to generate some of those plays for the Borgen goal and adjust to that. So I think that's cool that Dan shared that with us because that's really the big scouting point on Columbus. And the Kraken just didn't really get it through their heads, I guess, in the first period. But they did adjust and they figured it out and they took advantage of it.
Yeah, it's kind of wild having transparency from the coaching staff. Like it's really really cool, and I love having that around. You mentioned Will Borgen and scoring the goal there. Maddie skill showcase reminding Borgen he can shoot. Brooke, who I know must have been really fired up for this one. Borgen goal, let's go. RJ, I said it earlier. Will Borgen, like once or twice a year, reminds us that he can score some really beautiful goals. Just kind of pick a corner and set it there and make it look easy. I mean, your thoughts on the one he scored tonight?
It was awesome. I thought he picked the perfect spot. And I mean, Merzlikins got a tiny little piece of it, but it's tough when a goalie can get square to it, right? Because Merzlikins had time to go out and challenge it. Borgen didn't really have any passing options or anything else that the goalie had to respect. And he still blasted it right through him. And we do see that occasionally. And we saw it last year at the Winter Classic. I don't know how many times we saw it since, because this was his first goal of the season. So between that and last January, maybe not a ton of times, but he has the Borgie bomb. Like we've seen it before. Yeah. We know he can do it. So I love him having the opportunity to go ahead and do that.
Yeah. Lindsay, it felt like no one was in the right spot before the timeout, and then after they were where they needed to be. I mean, it was a rough first period. RJ, we were talking and debating, was it the worst first period they had? I mean, you know, the Boston game is kind of there, but you're playing a better opponent, all of that kind of stuff. It's just really nice, kind of, and I was saying it earlier. It's nice to have this team, and I feel like this team has earned us being patient through moments like that to at least give this coaching staff and give this group an intermission to try to adjust and come back and go out there and make something happen, at least at home. As Andrew's saying, are we a team that wins at home now? We didn't really see that on the road trip, but it does feel like in the home games so far this season, that has been the case.
Which feels unusual if you've been following the Kraken for a while, but really that is the normal thing to happen in the NHL, is teams are better able to do this stuff at home. And we are starting to see that with the Kraken. So I think there might be something to that. That said, I wanted to talk about the adjustments in the first intermission too, because you talked about how bad they played in the first period and how they were all disjointed, right? And the thing you talked to me the most about at the intermission at the time was the passing. The passing was terrible. They could not hit a tape-to-tape pass whatsoever. That got fixed at the intermission too. And that's something that Ty Cartier talked about too, because we asked him what changed, right? What was different in the first period versus the second period? And he said, we knew that if we could just start stringing a few passes together, we had them. That we could get up the ice, we could generate chances to do everything we wanted to do. We just could not hit a pass in the first period. But the passing was the biggest thing that changed. So, I mean, that's points to you there, Dylan, for noticing, because look, everything was wrong in the first period. Yeah. They were bad out of position. They were losing physical battles. The passes wouldn't connect. everything was bad, but that was the one thing that you highlighted to me, and I think it's the one thing that stuck with the guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like it's been iffy at times this so far this season, but it was kind of like next level tonight where it was just kind of like, okay, this feels like your head's just not in it kind of thing. You need to lock in here and kind of work on this, and I'm glad that they were able to there. Two questions here. First one, got to talk about your favorite goal of the night, RJ. I've already talked about the Tolvanen goal just because crashing the net, especially on the power play, it's where it's at. I will highlight the tic-tac-toe passing on it, though. McCann from up high, down to Jordan Eberle, net side, who sends it across the crease. Two beautiful passes there, in addition to Tolvanen kind of catching the defender flat-footed and kind of springing by him to get into the crease there. What was your favorite goal of the evening?
I'm going to go with the Will Borgen goal that I mentioned earlier. And the reason I'm going to pick it is because of what Dan said after the game about knowing that the Blue Jackets have really active defensemen and taking advantage of that. And I think that goal is probably the best example of the team doing that. You have, I believe it was Damon Severson pinching in for Columbus. It's a bad pinch, it's a risky pinch, but the Kraken are able to get the puck up the boards really quickly. Bjorkstrand is able to recognize that and get through the neutral zone fast. Borgen is able to recognize that from the other side of the ice, jump into the play where maybe he wouldn't always do that. And then Bjorkstrand hits him with the pass and you get the goal.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead and turn around for a second. The Twins had some interesting things. Like they're showing outside, which is unusual. Yeah. I feel like.
Yes,
but before
they are.
that, it was just an empty desk. It was just like a folding chair at an empty desk. That's what that was, and it said "Stats of the Game" presented by AWS, and it was just an empty desk. So sorry, that
the empty AWS stats desk.
Yeah, that does not normally happen here, but I did like your analysis on the goal there. And then we have this from Bryce. What was your favorite defensive play of the game? Montour's breakaway stop or Alexiak going full laydown on the 2v1?
I got to go with the Montour fact check. I mean, just the hustle on that. And it shows off his special skating, too, because he was a few strides behind and he caught up with room to spare. I mean, Brandon Montour is a special, special skater.
Yes. No, that was a great one. That would probably be it. Although I think I've got to go with save of the game in here at Climate Pledge Arena, and that is Will Borgen making a stop on that wraparound chance that Columbus had it earlier on in the first period, and kind of stopping him, doesn't even let him get above the goal line. I mean, that was a good defensive play. Joey was not going to get there for it.
Right, and I don't want to take anything away from Will Borgen. I'll just want to credit it more even to the whole team because I believe his D partner was there, right? Yeah. He had help. Or I don't know if it was a forward or a D, but there was another Kraken right there ready to stop it.
Yeah, it was not going to happen. I just think that, that was also a good defensive play because it was one of those where this happens like once a game to Joey Decord, where he'll get really aggressive on a stop, kind of pulls him out of his crease. And then this was an opportunity where Columbus was in a spot to collect that puck, possibly make something happen. But the team did respond, and they were able to get over there and keep it from turning into something too dangerous. And I think that that's also them kind of learning, what this group is doing here. I know you had some other thoughts on this one, RJ, and because this was a game we had talked about a little bit at the tail end of the podcast yesterday, and just some thoughts on how the team played in the first, particularly against this opponent and what that meant for them.
Right, and I did have some pretty strong thoughts after this one that I did express to you as I was heading out over to the media down there at event level. And look, I don't want to get too negative about this or take away too much from what the Kraken did tonight, but I think it is worth talking about the level of opponent that they faced tonight and the fact that, look, they basically spotted them the first period. They spotted them a couple goals, and you're not going to be able to get away with that every night. And now that's one of the reasons I was optimistic in the podcast, because I felt like given the quality of your next two opponents, maybe even three opponents, depending on how banged up the Islanders are, you don't have to play a full 60 in order to get a convincing win. And I think tonight was proof of that. That said, I think if you play this exact game that the Kraken played tonight, you probably lose to about 3/4 of the teams in the NHL. Now, you're lucky you were playing one of the quarter of teams that you will beat playing like this. And you know what? You play another team like that on Thursday. But I think it's worth talking about at least because this effort overall is not going to win you very many games, particularly that first period. And I see all the drinks in chat. I think that everyone was tuning out everything I said. So actually, thank you, Dylan, for helping take some of that away from my negativity there.
No, I had set it up earlier, and I'm surprised I actually had to set you up by asking that question. But I told everybody when I first pulled out the lemon lime Gatorade, I said, "Okay, everybody, drinking game. RJ's going to talk about this because he would not shut up about it up on the press bridge about the Kraken kind of getting away with it against this Columbus team." So I said, I guarantee you he's going to talk about it on the post game. Everybody will take a drink when that happens. And I'm surprised I kind of had to set you up there for it, but I was thirsty and I wanted the Gatorade, and I'm assuming the chat was waiting for it as well.
I figured there might be a natural opportunity to jump into it at some point. I figured there might be some chat message just talking about how, well, maybe how much of this is the quality of the opponent or something. I was definitely going to mention it before the stream was over with the 35-minute mark, so I figured I had a little time. But you do know me very well. Like, your call was spot on. I was going to mention it. But yeah, it did take me a little while.
Yeah. So that's all. I was not trying to take it away from you. It was just I was thirsty.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the chats in here, Becca, against a team like this, drink.
Yeah.
Sean, though, saying I am right. And Mason loved the spicy tweet after the second intermission. Yeah, it was a little bit spicy there, but it's how I was feeling. So
you were definitely feeling it. And let me tell you, everybody, it is fun being with RJ when he's feeling like that good about something like that, and he does want to get a little spicy on social media and stuff. That's fun, RJ, for sure. It is good stuff. I was glad to be up here for it. Couple stuff, and I gave my thoughts on Daniel Sprong coming in earlier, RJ, because we do get another Tanev goal. We get a goal from Ty Cartier. Again, the depth guys, Eli Tolvanen stepping up. Berkey gets on the board with an assist. A lot of the depth guys, are stepping up. They still seem motivated from the acquisition of Daniel Sprong. Got Bryce saying, expert motivator Daniel Sprong. Shay asking, where are we projecting Sprong fits into the lineup and who comes out? And the idea that I was kind of floating, RJ, was as long as everybody's playing like this, nobody has to come out for Daniel Sprong, right? Mission accomplished. Just bringing him in is getting guys to step up and start producing and get on the board and turn things around and get you some wins in the win column. That's all that matters at the end of the day. It doesn't mean he has to come into the lineup. You can wait until guys cool off or have an issue or something like that before you bring him in.
Right. Everybody is talking about Daniel Sprong and what he brings to this team. What about the threat of Daniel Sprong and what that brings to this team? Because we're seeing that already before Sprong's
might be more valuable.
Right. And you know what? Every single player that I have thought about is, okay, this guy could probably be scratched or should probably be scratched for Daniel Sprong when Sprong comes in, has played a lot better since that trade happened. And so if that continues, I love going off of merit, right? If they're earning their spots, let them continue to earn their spots. And at some point, somebody will falter. That's just going to happen because not all 12 forwards can play great all the time. Then you put Daniel Sprong for whoever that is. But for the time being, I don't think you need it. I mean, with the Gord, Tanev, and Cartier line playing so well against Vegas, I was thinking, okay, maybe it can't be one of them, but that's Berkey. Go Berkey. He's next in line to sit, right? But I thought he played pretty well in this one. Coach Dan thought he played pretty well in this one. Man, hearing Coach Dan talk about that breakaway that Berkey had that he didn't score, and he's like, oh, I would have really loved to see him score on that one just to get rewarded, get the result there. He was feeling it, wanting that chance to go in. And so that doesn't sound like a coach who's about to scratch an Andre Burakovsky. So at least in the short term.
Yeah, I still think I have to go back and rewatch it, but it did seem like the puck was bouncing around a lot. Kind of like he had to really settle it down as well as get going on the breakaway there. So I think that had something to do with it. Just, everybody was writing about how rough the first period was. By Ren, I don't remember Forsland sounding as displeased with the team's performance as he was in the first. Fortunately, the vibes improved. I mean, there was talk about everybody who scored tonight, RJ, does have a mustache. And Maddie's saying the boys have to keep the mustaches forever now. Everyone's going to look like Forsberg. I did answer the question earlier of who my favorite mustache is on the team right now. So I'm going to ask you, RJ, who do you think's got the best mustache so far here in November?
I don't know. Is Chandler Stevenson cheating because he already has one going into it?
So that's who I said, because it is the
Okay.
best one, I feel like. I did give another answer, though. I want to
Okay.
see if you also choose that person.
Is it
It's the
Yanni?
player I think. No, it's the player I think has the most stylized mustache. Maybe not be the best, but I like the kind of style they're going for with it.
I don't know.
I mean, feel free to pick whoever you want. I'll tell you who I did.
No. I mean, yeah, no. Go ahead and tell me. I'm trying to
I
picture my way around the room here. It's not
I said
Tolby.
I said Nelly Tolvanen.
You did.
I did. I know everybody, that is maybe not the greatest thing in the world, but I feel like he's going for a little bit of, European simple style with the kind of two sides of it. I can relate to having struggles in the middle there, and I don't know. I don't think it's that bad.
Okay, if it's one I can relate to, then yeah, I'll go Tolvanen. But I wouldn't say it's the best. And actually, yeah, I'll agree with Mason and Sean there. I think Will Borgen, that would be my other pick.
Yeah, Will Borgen's really seems like come together in the last like 2 days. Yeah, well, I was gonna say one you could relate the most to would probably be Riker Evan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, whoever has the least amount of a mustache, that's the one I can relate to the most.
Yeah, that is it. Jake pointed out a lot of Berkey assists are primaries too. That is true. That is just another little thing. Oh,
There go the lights.
there's cycling the lights for sure. I guess I'll just bump up the brightness on my laptop here.
I think it
Joey looks.
improved my situation, but made yours worse.
I would agree with that assessment. Joey looks like he might be the best of the 5x5 goalie contracts handed out in the last few years here from Fusion Mix. I'd start agreeing with that.
Was Demko one of those? I mean, well, now actually
That was
that
a
looks.
while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm. But hey, with the Demko injury, who knows if he'll ever be himself again? So yeah, maybe that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Amanda, I loved Borgen saying he doesn't think we have a fourth line. They can do everything anyone else can do. Really put some respect on their fight.
That's good. I love hearing that from Will Borgen talking about his teammates. It's true. They don't have a fourth line. And I think whether it's us asking questions or Coach Dan talking about it, I think the phrase that's been used a lot recently is the so-called fourth line, because we know they're not actually a fourth line.
Yes, yes. Zoe pointing out 1 bench minor penalty, 0 player penalties from the Kraken tonight. That's new. That's a good point. Good for pointing that out, Zoe, because yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, RJ, but that is new. That is not something we've seen from them in a little while. The too many men penalty is definitely something we've seen from this group, but nobody picking up even a minor in this one. That is new.
Yeah, I think that's big for this group too. It's good practice because, especially when you have a lead, which they did for a lot of the end of this game, right? When the other team is down 4-2, a power play is a chance to get momentum and get back into the game. And that's something that they denied Columbus. And it just felt like as soon as the Kraken took that 4-2 lead, they didn't give them anything. Just no chances to get back in the game, nothing that could potentially spark them whatsoever. And staying out of the box was a big part of that.
Yeah. Jake, does it feel like other teams are trying wraparounds on Joey pretty frequently? I mean, like I said, he's good for like once a game, making a very aggressive save and being out of his crease. So if they are, I don't feel like they necessarily are than any other team or than the Kraken try to against somebody. But if they are, that would be what
I feel like I see it a little bit more than maybe the Kraken try it. Look, if I was a video coach on the other team, I would tell him something to that effect of that he's going to be aggressive, he's going to make a push, and a wraparound can occasionally work.
Yeah.
Also, Byron saying only two. Okay, only too many wow. Okay, only too many men penalties this year, but then corrected to it's the third because I thought no way is that only 2 on this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's 3 in what 16 games.
Yeah.
It's
not. It's yeah. Yeah.
great.
I mean, it's not great. And Byron, I also cannot count. Don't worry, I can't speak, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. The Kraken have trouble counting as well. That's why they take so many of these.
Yep.
I do like with down here, Coop Dylan. That was entrapment. It was. I admitted it. I was thirsty. I just wanted to get it over with. I wanted to drink. Let's see. Ryan can't wait until Spronger steps into the building. There was some, I forget who mentioned it earlier, RJ, but the idea was just that during the first intermission, all Dan did was walk in with a picture of Daniel Sprong and place his nameplate up in the locker room.
Just like ding dong and leave.
That would be great. Oh man. That is, I mean, it would be pretty funny. Um, let's see, Becca. Before even picking up Sprong, Ron Francis said, "quote The players can count. We have 13 forwards for 12 spots." So just kind of sticking with our counting theme there. Yeah, I mean they know, and this is certainly
Put the
like,
players in charge of the line changes, maybe.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say
They
yeah,
can
from
count.
the motivational thing, but yes,
Yeah, yeah.
they also are struggling with that. I don't know. Isn't it at the end of the day on them? It's not like
Yeah. That's how we do it in beer league, right?
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Jake, when a guy has a bad game, he gets a picture of Sprong put in his locker like a mob threat. That would work.
I love it.
That would
So happy
definitely
he's
work.
back, and he's not even back yet.
Yes. Chuck, anyone know what happened to Grubauer? Seeing him at Skills on Saturday, it looked like a dog bite or like he ran into a door. We do not know yet what happened to Philip Grubauer.
Yep, don't know, and nobody can even talk to him at this point too because he's still injured.
Yeah, yeah. As long as the player's listed as injured, we're not allowed as the media to approach them about anything. I think once they can to ask, so we'll see if we end up getting an answer about it. But yeah, I mean, it looks rough, but it's been nice to see him back out there these last couple days.
Yeah, he looks fine in practice.
Yeah. Let's see. Milo, we all remember Borgie's playoff beard, right? I think by the end of November, he'll be all hair. It's true.
Oh, that was good. He had a good one.
Yeah.
That's like a long time ago.
Yeah. Out of Berkey, Gordon, Wright, who's most in danger of having a Donskoy of a season? From Schultz. Who's the most in danger of just making good chances, creating stuff offensively, RJ, but just being snake bitten as far as actually putting it in the back of the net?
I mean, so far it's Berkey, no question.
I was going to say the other. Does Gord have a goal yet? Wright has one.
Yeah, he must.
I feel
think
like
Gord
Yanni's
has one,
got one. Berkey is
at least.
still looking for that first one on the year, so I do feel like that puts him in the driver's
Yeah.
seat. If I'm remembering right, it was what Bjorkstrand the following season, right? Who took a while
Yeah,
to
it
get
was.
going.
He just wasn't. Yeah. But you
Yeah.
knew it was going to go in for him the start of the next season.
Right.
Gord does not have
Exactly.
a goal, as
Okay.
Chad is letting us know.
I was gonna say I couldn't think of one, but it feels like he would have. But look, it has been interesting, RJ, this year. As much as the team is performing, looking more offensive than they were last season, we've talked about it. We've talked about how this system of pushing the play up the ice, attacking in transition, skating, all that kind of stuff, it does seem to be favoring the wingers, right? It's one of those kind of things where you're trying to move the puck out of the defensive zone quickly, get the puck up the ice. Most of the time, that is going to mean wingers carrying the puck up the ice, and then the next attacking forward is going to be their fellow winger, just because centers in general are going to be F1 in the defensive zone, which means they're going to have to be playing the deepest in the defensive zone. That is the case right now for really all four of the lines that the Kraken have right now. So I do think that a lot of this, I know there was something earlier about it too, and you look at just the three forwards tonight without a point, three centermen for the Kraken. I think a lot of the lack of center production that we're seeing is just because of the system that the Kraken are playing. Because if you're just forcing the puck up out of the zone quickly and up the ice, it's just going to be going to wingers, and they're going to be going up there and creating all these off the rush chances that the Kraken are, putting in the back of the net.
I think that is a big part of it. Although, as people are pointing out too, he's hit a lot of posts too. He's had the grade A chances as well. Just has been snake bitten to an extent. And Stratic, Gord would have a goal if players under 5'9" were allowed to kick goals in.
Well, that's true too. And as somebody who would be in that category, I think they should be allowed to do that, RJ. But I just think that is something beyond just like talking about Yanni Gord, but talking about Shane Wright's lack of point production, Maddie at times this season, Chandler Stevenson this season. I do think that that's part of it. We've talked about it. That's why we see a lot of dump and chase from the Kraken. It's because they're put in a lot of positions where their zone entry just has to come up along the boards. that's going to be a winger carrying the puck in that situation 9 times out of 10. And I think that does kind of go with why we see the lack of production there from the guys down the middle. I don't know that it's so much that they're playing poorly. It's just I think the system does not favor them being a part of those high quality chances that they're generating. Now, if they're able to get more stuff going, RJ, in the slot or in the crease, the way they kind of were tonight, where a lot of guys were looking to throw pucks towards the middle of the ice in the offensive zone, that will change because that's where a lot of them will be playing.
Right, and there were some different types of looks there for the centers tonight, and so we'll see if that's a theme going forward. But I do think you're right about that, and we saw that too with Shane a bunch early in the season, right, where he was generating so much, he was around so many goals, but he wasn't scoring any of them.
Right. And I think as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about practice yesterday. I'm thinking about the previous practice that we saw from them. And we talked about it, right? It looked like they were doing cycle work. And what's really been the struggle for this team offensively this year, it hasn't been attacking off the rush. It's been what do you do if that initial attack off the rush fails? What's your plan B on offense? And it does feel like as we're closing in on the 20 game mark, we're starting to see the team work on that and work it into their repertoire. I talked earlier before you joined us, RJ. Kraken had a lot of those chances where they were throwing puck into good quality areas in the offensive zone, and guys just weren't there. But as long as they stick to that, guys will start being there, or the timing on those passes is going to get better. Those passes are going to get cleaner. Just having those reps in games, at some point, it will kind of come together for them. And I'm putting it together in my mind right now. That is them adding that next dimension to the offense that the coaching staff just wasn't really able to add during training camp because they're so limited in their time. I think we're starting to see it now as we close in on 20 games.
I was thinking that's part of the 20 game mark, really, and something that they could add. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to see that kind of added in, and I do like the fact that they're willing to utilize the areas on the ice, RJ, in the corners or down below the goal line where they're going to have a little bit more time and space to really make sure they can control the puck and try to send a good pass into the low slot or into the crease. The timing was obviously off, but I did like how many of those passes were going to be like receivable in the sense that they were utilizing that time and space to send a good quality pass. Like the puck's on the ice, it's in a spot where a guy could actually get a stick on it and score. Guys just have to be in those spots now. That's the thing to work on.
Yep. And they're working on getting practice reps to that sort of effect, right? It's just it takes time.
Yeah. Milo, fun fact, the Kraken have lost every game they have taken 0 penalties in. Maybe a too many penalty is okay.
Yeah, interesting. How many games is that?
That would be an interesting one to know. I do not know, but that is pretty funny. Mason, can we talk about the interference by Wes McCauley on Gord? I think you mean Tanev that we got a power play off of. I was dying laughing at it. That was really funny. I'm kind of surprised they called that penalty, RJ.
I am too, because really it wasn't interference on any Columbus player. It was actually just the ref there was in the way. Yeah, it was linesman in the way. And so yeah, I don't know why exactly that call was made. I know Tanev was ready to complain about it immediately, and he was. So maybe that kind of helped lobby for the call. But yeah, I was laughing at that one too.
Yeah, that one was pretty funny. Let's see.
We got a super chat here from Chuck.
Oh, thank you. I don't know why it doesn't notify me anymore when those come in. Chuck here, if Grew can play by the weekend, would you guys put him in versus the Islanders or the Rangers? Rangers kind of seems like a scheduled loss. That's a good question from Chuck. I mean, I'm of the mind just to give him as much time as possible, so I'd probably put him in for the second game, just coming off of the injury.
I would put him in for the second game also, and you know what? It's not for that reason. It is the scheduled loss reason. I am fully on board, and this game has it's made me even more sure that this team it's just about beating the bad teams. It's about beating the teams that you need to beat, right? Don't even I don't want to say that. I was going to say don't even try and get 2 points off the Rangers, but don't even waste a Joey Decord game on that one. Make sure you get that win against the Islanders, and whatever happens in the Rangers game. So I'm fully on board with this. Give Grew the toughest games. Give Joey the games where you're going to need to get these wins, because who knows, even like tonight, you might come out and play a really bad first period and need him. So I'm all on board with that.
I don't know. That just feels cruel to Grubauer. Just throw him in.
You know
Sorry,
what?
but it's a scheduled loss. You got to take it. You got to eat it.
You know what? Look, he's the backup at this point.
I
You
know.
can't
No, you're not
you
wrong
can't be
about that.
sentimental at this point. Like it is kind of cruel to him, but you know what? You need every win you can possibly get. We're definitely at that point with this team. You cannot afford to lose points, and if that means hanging him out to dry, and maybe that means you buy him out in the off season, so be it. Like Joey is the future of this team at net.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy to be in this place. So Viren saying 4 games with 0 times shorthanded in Kraken history, 3-year one and one last year. And Milo saying, I asked on Twitter because the Wild recently had a penalty-free game, and according to at C Bruins, we've had 3: an overtime loss against Columbus, a 6-1 loss to the Pens, and a game we were shut out in. Lol. That's interesting.
Huh.
It is. That is an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain that.
I don't either. I mean, it's just hockey. It's just kind of random. Schultz, bring your torches to the Rangers game just in case there are lighting issues again. I know
That's
something you'll
right.
never forget.
I know. Good memory. Well, the game itself wasn't so great for the Kraken, but I'll always remember that moment. If I get the chance to see something weird like that you'll never see again, hopefully,
Yes.
I'll relish that. So that was a fun one.
Yeah. Coop. Yeah. RJ's being ruthless. We're seeing spicy RJ back. Off
This
of
game
Twitter and on the
radicalized me. I
Postgame
don't
Live.
know why, but it
You
did.
absolutely are. It was seeing Kevin LeBanc again. Let's be real.
Yes, it was. Oh, I missed him.
That was everything. You just went right back to a different time and a different place with that
You
one.
remember my Sharks related takes that were every bit as spicy on
Yes,
the
I do.
regular
Yes, I
at
do.
that time. I think I'm getting a little bit of that.
That's what I'm saying. You really brought it out in you. It's been a lot of fun. I know everybody's now looking to head to the Rangers game, but we do have a couple games before that one. First one's going to be on Thursday against the Blackhawks. RJ, I think look, I want, as much as I want to say just do what you did tonight. It's okay to show up a little bit in the first period. I would say.
Yes, I think it is acceptable. Yeah, you should probably show up in the first period. Again, I don't know that it's entirely necessary because Chicago, I feel like, is every bit as bad of a team as Columbus is, and you probably don't have to play a full 60 to get the win. That's just the reality of it. So if there's a game you can afford to come out slow again, it's that one, but doesn't mean it's what you want to do.
Everybody take a drink for me. I'm all out of Gatorade there.
Yeah,
But
so I'll
RJ's bringing
let
it
it
up
go.
again. Maybe I'll have to bring a couple for next game if it's going to be like
Julia
this.
saying, don't jinx it, RJ. I even jinxed it this game, and look what happened. They won 5-2,
I
and it
know,
wasn't
but now
close.
you're getting really confident. This is,
I
I
stand
don't
by
know.
it.
I know you do. And look, I don't entirely disagree with it. It's just, yeah, the hockey gods can be cruel, and they do pay attention from time to time. So I'm not gonna totally hop on board with it, but we'll see. And Ryan Donato will hear you. Yes.
Yeah, that's the only chance that this has of being bulletin board material for Chicago is if Ryan Donato is somehow hearing me
Ryan
on this.
Donato
Well,
revenge game. It could happen.
it could happen. Okay, look, Ryan Donato, I think I said this up to you in the press box earlier today. He's going to score. He's going to get at least
Yeah.
one, but it
Yeah.
won't be nearly enough.
We'll see. We'll see. Looking forward to it. I know everybody must be now as well. Got to see if RJ's right, everybody. I know that's my number one reason to watch this game now for sure.
Bring it on.
So we'll see it all on Thursday against Chicago. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks everybody for the super chats. Really appreciate all of those. Yeah, we'll see you all next time, and we'll see if RJ was right or not.